Hi and welcome back to the Teacherpreneurs Association. We help teachers build thriving online businesses. I'm Jess and today's topic is near and dear to my heart because it was inspired by a teacher I've just finished working with, and we spoke, of course, a lot about business, but also a lot about perseverance and optimism. And whatever stage you're at in your teacher business, this episode is really going to help you out, because with any business, no matter if it's online, in person, we have these ups and downs. And I want this episode to be something that you can come back to because you're going to relate to all of these stages, I guarantee it. And whether you are selling an ebook, you're selling courses, you're selling lessons, the road to success, the road to making that first sale or to finally replacing your teaching salary isn't smooth sailing. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a windy road, a bumpy road where you're going to take unexpected detours. There are going to be roadblocks and you're probably going to think, I'm just going to give up. What's the point? And we've all been there, right? But it's that ability to push through those moments that set successful teachers apart from those that quit. Let's look at perseverance and optimism, and you probably teach this to your students, or this is something you probably help your students with, but it's just turning the light around to ourselves and thinking, how can I use this with this income stream that I want to create, that I want to grow, that I want to make bigger? How can I use optimism and perseverance? Optimism, of course, is believing that things will turn out well in the end. You know, it's seeing opportunities where other people might focus on obstacles, they might see what's blocking them. You're focusing on your long-term goals rather than the short-term setbacks. It's like that feeling you get when you first come up with an idea for a course, or you first have an idea to sell your resources. You're excited, you're pumped, and you're ready to change the world like one student at a time. You're ready to start selling all your lesson plans and you're thinking, this is such a good idea. I can do this at home. I can do this on a weekend. I can do this while I'm watching the kids watching football. And you're excited, right? Perseverance is that willingness to keep going. Even though things get tough, even though there's something that comes up and doesn't go as planned, it's what keeps you going. And when you start creating your course content and you're spending a few hours after work and you're tired and you're tweaking your sales page for the 100th time, you're troubleshooting technical problems, you're trying to download Zoom and you're making sure that all the content is right, and it's in those moments where it's like, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to make this happen. While some people might be naturally inclined to have these traits and be optimistic and persevere, the good news is that they can be learned. It is so easy to focus on what's not going right, but I want you to look at what is going right and having that growth mindset. You've probably got a poster on your classroom wall that talks about the growth mindset, right? I remember when I first started my journey, first discovered course creation, the idea of selling a course whilst I was traveling was like, I love it. I was full of what we call uninformed optimism. I thought, how hard could it be? I just sit down, I record this course, and I can sell it online. There's so much that I know about that I can put into a course. Easy, so easy. And I'm so excited thinking about all these sales that I'm going to make. And then I launched the course, my first attempt. It flopped. No one signed up. And I'd spent so long creating this course, but giving up was just never an option because that long-term goal I had in my mind. I learned from the mistakes that I made, literally not selling the course. And now I'm here where this is my reality. So this is called the emotional cycle of change. And it starts with that uninformed optimism. This stage is like the honeymoon phase of any new venture, anything that you do. It starts with uninformed optimism. You're full of excitement, energy, big dreams. You've decided to create an online course. You've decided to start a business. You've decided to start tutoring, and you're envisioning all the impact that you're going to make, all the students you're going to help, all the money you're going to make, and the freedom that you'll gain. And at this point, everything seems possible. And the challenges ahead seem small and manageable, and you can do it. It's easy. Of course you can do it. The second stage of this is informed pessimism. And this is the stage where I met my client at. And as you start working on your project, reality begins to set in. That initial excitement fades, it dims, and you start encountering real obstacles. Creating course content takes longer than expected. Doing market research is something you've never done before. Tech setup and trying to download and figure out all these websites, it's overwhelming. And you begin to fully understand the scope of the work that's required, and doubt starts to creep in. I have hit several of these roadblocks. I struggled with video editing. It was so hard for me to figure out how to do it, and I felt so overwhelmed by the amount of content that I needed to produce and worried about how do I market this effectively, who is even going to buy this course. And I remember thinking, is this really worth it? Can I really pull this off? Can I actually do this? So that's stage 2. You've got excited and then you realize, shit, I've got to actually make this happen. Step number 3, or the third part of this emotional cycle of change, and this is the toughest part of the journey, this is what they call the valley of despair. And this is where so many people give up. It's the rock bottom where you faced the reality that this is going to be hard, it's going to take some action. Progress seems slow or non-existent. You have none of that initial enthusiasm. That's a distant memory. You can't even remember if this was a good idea or not. It's easy to feel like all of your efforts are not going to work out, and it's tempted, and you might be tempted right now to abandon this project, abandon this mission altogether. And a lot of people give up at this point, and this happened to me right after that first course launch. I had no one bought, and I just thought, I failed. Do I have the right skills? Was it my idea? Do I have the ability to make a difference? Can I really pre-record something and teach something whilst I go and do something else in life? And I was exhausted from juggling all the roles, content creator, marketing, doing the technical stuff, actually creating the content, teaching. It just felt like nothing was going right, and it seemed like giving up was the only option that I had at that moment in time. But this is when step 4 comes in. This is informed optimism. If you persevere through the valley of despair, you're going to reach a point of informed optimism. I guarantee you are now seeing the fruits of your labor. You've learned from your mistakes. You've adjusted your strategies. You've begun to understand the technical things a bit more, and slowly things are in improvement, and you gain a realistic understanding of what it really takes to succeed, what it really takes to build your business. You feel more confident in your ability to achieve your goals. You might have got that first sale, you might have hit your first £1,000, and you're finally thinking, you see like glimmer of hope, this is possible for me, and that excitement starts to creep in again. After reevaluating my strategy with that first course, I was like, back to the drawing board. I'm going to actually work with people, a few beta testers, and make necessary adjustments. And that was really when I began to see progress, because I thought, if I can help, these 3 people, then I can help 5 people, and I can help 10 people. And my marketing efforts, that content that I'd been posting, started to pay off, because when you first post a piece of content, that might not reach someone for 3 weeks, for 6 weeks, and you don't really know the true impact of it until it's later down the line. Just like this podcast, I got a message the other day that someone had binge watched all the episodes and they enrolled in one of my 3-week programs that I'm hosting this summer. And I thought, all of those times I've sat down to record the podcast, all of those times that I doubted if anyone was really listening or taking my advice or implementing what I was saying, and this woman who's binge watched this podcast is now one of my clients. And it just goes to show that what you put out there now, that instant gratification, it doesn't happen online, but it does happen when you persevere and you are optimistic through it. Because this is just after the valley of despair, and I'll put an image on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, you start to come back up and you start to make those sales, and it's like you're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's when you reach success and fulfillment, which is the final stage of the emotional cycle. This is where your hard work pays off. This is where you achieve your goals. This is where other people might start noticing something different. Your course is live, your students are enrolling, you're receiving those testimonials, you're receiving those emails, and you're making a real difference in people's lives. And this stage brings that sense of accomplishment, of fulfillment, feeling proud of yourself. But the cycle doesn't really end there. Success often brings new challenges and different challenges, because you have new goals, you have new milestones, and they come with a different type of work. And this feeling of accomplishment, after seeing that first course, was finally helping people, receiving that positive feedback. I was like, this is crazy, this is so rewarding. And I went on this huge trip. And then when I was on this trip, I thought, how do I balance this? How do I have this business and work online, but also I want to travel? All of those, the practicality of this is now my reality. I thought, and then you start again with the emotional cycle of change, because it's a new, different role. And this happens all the time because it's life. If this is you and you're like, this is definitely, I can see myself in one of these stages, first of all, acknowledge your emotions at each stage. If you're frustrated, if you're doubting yourself, it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're human. Divide those goals that you have that seem so overwhelming into just small, manageable tasks. Overwhelm can happen when we're thinking about everything and we're not really focused on the one thing. Break it down into something that you can actually do. Another thing is to find someone else who's also in this journey. Even if they're building a business that's not related to yours, but they're in the online space, they're creating content, having someone who gets it makes a huge difference. And also, along this journey, your first course idea, you might be so glued on it, or your first business idea, be flexible. Flexibility is so key. When a strategy doesn't work, it doesn't matter, just change it. If you post something and it doesn't do what you want it to do, change it. The online world is amazing, but if you are rigid in what you expect to happen, then you're gonna give up. Instead of being like, let me find a solution to this. You're a teacher and every single day you have problems thrown at you every single day. And what you do is create solutions on the fly. You are able to do that. And it's the same thing in the online world. The emotional cycle of change is inevitable. And there are going to be ups and downs in your online business. And that's okay. It's part of your story. It's the story that you're going to tell your grandkids. It's the story that you're going to write to help other people chase their dreams. Knowing that it's part of the journey for me is so relaxing and so calming because I think it's just part of it. I'm gonna laugh that I couldn't figure out how to download something on my laptop. Keep going. You can stay motivated, resilient, and ultimately achieve your goals. Every successful teacherpreneur who's made this happen has faced a challenge. Not one person has done it and it's been smooth sailing. Remember that. Keep going and persevering. Whatever you would tell your students, your best friend, how you would encourage them to keep going and help them believe in their ability, turn it around and tell yourself that you have this ability to make a difference. As I said, this is called the emotional cycle of change, and I will leave a few links down below for you to have a look at it so that you can see where you are at. It's sometimes really freeing to know, okay, I'm here right now. It's difficult, but I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep going because I know that there will be a reward at the end of it. Keep going, keep pushing forward. If you do want any one-on-one support, any personalized guidance, drop me a DM. I would love to help you get to your next level, whatever that may look like. Have a wonderful week and I will speak to you next time. Bye.